Good evening, everybody. My name is Subhash Gautam, and today I have an assignment where we have to change the ER diagram to relational diagram. And for this assignment, we already have the diagram copied from the canvas. So basically, uh, we have to change this ER diagram to make it use a relation scheme using the mapping guidelines. So basically we can see we have region, and we have its primary key, which is region ID, same as the store. And we have the primary key for store ID is store ID. It's same thing with the product. We have a primary key, which is product ID. Basically, all these means are uh, they have a unique attributes. So these product ID or vendor ID or region IDs are not repeated in any other uh, diagram, so they are basically unique. So according to the assignment, we have to start making relation scheme for the whole diagram. Starting with this, we can work on the column. Table one. Okay, we're gonna work on this. Working with draw eye is kind of complicated, but if you get used to it and work a little bit more, you can basically get it done easily. For the first, we're going to work on the vendor diagram. As I work with the table, I'm going to explain about the whole diagram and its relationship as well. First, we're going to work with the vendor products. Let's do this. For the vendor, we have the primary key, which is vendor ID. So on this side, left-hand side. We have to work on the black and white. Okay, so we have this, and second value. Okay. So basically, with all the attributes, we have one-to-one relation, one-to-many, or many-to-many, or many-to-one relationship. Uh, Basically, with product, we have many-to-many relationship. With store, we have many-to-one relationship. Uh, that's how we're going to define the relationship and all that. Basically, what no, no. Okay. Now we have done with the vendor column. Let's see if I can squeeze this down. Work with this. Okay, we're gonna make another one. Okay. So this is we're gonna get this. Bottom. Okay, for this, we're gonna make a product relation. So as we all know, product has its own unique attribute, unique key, which is primary key, which we also call product ID. That's very unique than anything else, any attributes or entities in the diagram. key. So for the product, so for the product, so damage, I think we probably have to insert a row. ID and the primary key. For the product ID, we have product price, product name. Basically, we can also see product is also linked with the customer because customers are the one, vendors are the one that we will vendors are the one that we sells the product to the customers, product to the basic store, how they are linked up with this, and they have a direct relationship with it. And this we need to have vendor ID. So the product is completely related with this because they have product needs to be defined or separated with certain uh, with the category ID as well, because products can be separated with categories and they can be separated with who was the vendor and how they supply to the store, how they supply the product. Um, so after this, so basically uh, vendor ID and customer IDs are foreign key. So they basically involve with it. So we can put, and now we'll be making another table. And this is just for the down. For this, we can be so basically for the category ID, we have our own unique attributes with the category, which is the primary key, which is category ID. This is not key, it's category and the primary key for categories. That's the primary key. I'm still confused about how we. So this is it. So after that, we can. So we are done with the vendor, product, and the category. We have 7 attributes: so reason, store, sales transaction, product, vendor, category, and customers. So next we're going to do is work on the includes. So basic includes are this us this shape isometric square. I'm sorry, I forgot the name of it. So basically these are these isometric squares join two different, it shows a relationship between two or more attributes, meaning they are basically related or in some way directly or indirectly related with the attributes or entities. So we're gonna work with a new table called includes. Let me see. Includes. Now the first one, this is another one. includes. So includes basically have both primary key and the foreign key. Let's see, PK, and so basically ID. And the other one we have is transaction ID. That's transactional ID is self-transaction primary key. So it basically means uh, any transaction that goes through they have a certain they have their own unique attribute or unique ID that helps customers or the reseller figure out what kind of product that was sold from the store. And the other one, the last one we have is one it's done. And, we have 3 more left, so let's work on that. The next step we're gonna work is on sales transaction. Sales transaction. For sales transaction, we have a unique ID, primary key, which is basically TID, transaction ID, and transactional date. So that's these two attributes helps figure out what kind of transaction was it and when was it done, basically. And for the first primary key, we have transactional ID, TID, and the second one is T date. So not only this, we have foreign key associated with this, which is store ID. That basically means anyone can find a transaction, sales transaction, from like what time was it, what was the name of the transaction or the item, when it was in, what store did it sell from, and who bought it, basically. Okay. So that's done on this part as well. And the next one is customer. So the next one we have is customer ID. So it's like, what is this primary key is customer, because it has its own unique attribute, own unique character. This cannot be changed or this cannot be duplicated. And on the customer ID, we have customer zip code. So we are done with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have one more left, and which is store, which is store ID. And like always, its primary key is store ID. So basically store, like I said, region stores, like store might have its own store ID, but they also have a foreign key called region ID. store might be inside a region ID, but like region has so many different stores. So basically it might be one, it is one to from store to region is one to many relation, and from region to it store is one to many. And on this we have store zip code, set IP. Key is value is so that's basically the schematic. And now what I'm going to do is, okay, so now I'm gonna arrange it. I have a very small screen, so now we're going to do is let's see. This is not correct. Sure, sorry. It took a lot of time for me to do this. Go. ID for this, we're going this. So this is done. It's not in good shape, but like this. Okay. So product ID is linked with the includes. So it's basically one to many relation. Uh, Same thing with TID. This. This is kind of is that is done as well. And now moving on to the one. Let's see. Customer ID, which is directly linked with the primary key with the customer ID. So basically, sales transaction is also okay. After I make this, I'm going to explain everything. I really apologize for that. So this is done, and now we have to go with store ID, which is also directly. I hope I can put this thing in. So that is also done, and customer ID is also done. Let me see if I missed anything. Customer ID, which is the product key, includes both foreign key and TID as well. Category is linked with product because product contains a lot of attributes with vendor ID and category ID as well. Then person ID is so sales transaction also includes basically which sales transaction primary key is transaction ID. After that, we have two foreign keys in sales transaction, which is store ID and customer ID that helps to store value of the store that was purchased from and the customer that's purchased it, any product basically. So this is a scheme, a relational scheme I used to map. I mapped using the guideline through draw.io. It was very complicated at the beginning, but after like few tries, I basically got a hang of it. Um, I really apologize. I'm not feeling really good. I've been sick for the last 2 weeks, and so that my voice sounds really bad. But yeah, this is the ER diagram. I made it, and I hope you understand this. And this. Thank you so much for your time. Oh, oh, you do. Oh, God,